Hello everybody, I'm the MaskedGameReviewer. In this episode I decided to do things a little bit differently. I set out to find a creepypasta that I could share with all of you. I searched pretty extensively until I came across one that I found pretty interesting. The tale tells of a guy named Evan and his urge to play the game Portal again that takes an unexpected turn. So, let's begin. Evan has always had a passion for video games, but as he grew older he just couldn't find the time to play them as much as he used to. He eventually made the decision to sell every game and console he owned because he desperately needed the money. As months passed, he began to reminisce of all the fond memories he had playing his beloved games. One game in particular wouldn't escape his mind. That game was Portal. He had an undying urge to play it once again, so he set out to find a copy for his PC. Evan at the time did not have internet access and had very limited money, so he began to contact various shops to find a copy that was reasonably priced. All of the main game retailers he contacted only had copies that were full price, so he tried his luck with a local rental store. They happened to have a copy for sale, but the clerk explained that it had mysteriously appeared inside their Dropbox within a solid black game case. The game was in fair condition, so at the time they decided to hold on to it. Since they didn't normally carry this game and they weren't really sure where it came from, they decided to give it to Evan for free. After a late night at work, Evan was ready to go home and enjoy Portal once again. He put on his headphones and started the game. His excitement grew even more as the title screen appeared. Memories began to flood back as he heard Gladys's opening speech. He continued along and everything seemed normal enough, but he began to notice minor differences, such as the signs not lighting up and the music never started playing. He specifically recalled the radio that plays the mariachi-sounding theme from the beginning of the game. Evan quickly went to the sound setting to see if the volume was muted, but it was normal. He assured himself that this was a minor glitch, so he continued forth anyway. Evan began to solve the first puzzle when he thought he heard a faint whisper. He looked up at the glass observation window and saw a silhouette of a figure standing in the office, looking in his direction. This startled him momentarily. Evan knew that there were no other people in the game Portal, but he reassured himself that this was most likely a change for the PC version that he didn't know about. As he began the second puzzle, he saw that the big sign had pictures of gas masks in place of all the hazard signs that you would normally see. A brief moment passed and he could hear GLaDOS clear as day saying goodbye. Evan didn't remember any of this from playing before, but again he would reassure himself that this was just a change for the PC version. He continued to grab the first portal gun, and this was immediately followed by a loud, blood-curdling scream. Evan was severely startled by this. He quickly unplugged his headphones and covered his face. He wasn't sure if the scream came from the game or if it came from inside his house. He was about to investigate when he noticed a transparent man wearing a white lab coat on his monitor, standing in front of him, staring at him with hollow black eyes. The man then walked toward Chell, the in-game character, and disappeared through the wall behind her. At this point, Evan was ready to turn off the game, but his curiosity got the best of him and he reluctantly ventured forth. He was certain now that something was not right with this game, but a part of him still wasn't sure. He solved more puzzles, and to his surprise everything seemed normal. The music was now playing and there was nothing out of the ordinary. Upon reaching the 11th puzzle, the music had again stopped, but was instead replaced with a silent static noise. Evan grew tense as he began to anticipate that something was about to happen. He briefly paused and thought back to how he would play scary games like Silent Hill, and how he even laughed in the face of the Slender Man. He considered himself to be a brave gamer, so he gathered his thoughts and ventured on. He made it to the moving platform that takes you to the second portal gun upgrade. Upon receiving it, a voice was heard clearly whispering, "This was our greatest mistake," followed by GLaDOS again saying goodbye, but with an overlapping audio that was much deeper and distorted. Evan attempted to shoot both portals, but was only able to shoot the blue one. The portal was open, but the room it led to looked pitch black. He cautiously walked up to the portal and decided to proceed through. Chell seemed to fall for a bit until it sounded like she had finally landed. The room was dark and Evan had no idea what to do. He tried moving forward, but his character didn't seem to be responding. The room eventually lit up to reveal that he was in some kind of a lab full of transparent figures, all wearing white lab coats. They appeared to be both male and female. They paid no attention to Chell's presence, and they were all lightly and incoherently muttering. One by one they began to let out shrieks of agony and collapsed to the ground, as if they had all suddenly died. Evan then began to remember how in the game GLaDOS reveals that she had previously locked down the entire facility and flooded it with the neurotoxin, killing off many of the employees of Aperture Science. He felt like he was witnessing the deaths of the scientists firsthand. A portal opened at the opposite end of the room. Evan didn't shoot it because he had realized that he no longer had the portal gun. He headed toward the portal, surveying all the translucent bodies that lay lifeless on the ground. Once he reached the portal, Evan instinctively turned around. All the bodies were now once again standing and staring directly at the player. GLaDOS then began laughing loudly. Terrified beyond belief, Evan rushed towards the portal and sighed in relief when he realized it had closed behind him. Evan was now in an area that he had recognized. It was the 16th level. Once again the game became normal, the music was back, and he also had the portal gun. Evan gathered his thoughts. He started to think he understood what was going on. He knew that the game had to have been modded. That explains why the game had mysteriously appeared in the rental store's Dropbox inside the black case. It was all somebody's elaborate hoax to get someone to play Portal and think that it was haunted. Evan from then on actually started to enjoy playing. He thought it was a very well crafted mod. He continued on and he was able to solve more puzzles. It seemed the closer he got to the end of the game, the more frequently the ghosts would appear. They appeared to be wandering aimlessly. Some would walk through a wall as the player approached, and others would stare lifelessly at Chell until they let out screams of agony as they fell to the ground. Evan decided that this was by far the scariest game he had ever played. As he came upon the end, the ghosts now appeared to be guiding Evan. They were standing completely still, pointing precisely in the direction to go. Some of them were even heard whispering, "Save me." Evan eventually made it to the end of the game. As he entered the room with GLaDOS, a loud ringing noise began. Ghosts were standing around the entire room. Most of them were shuddering and crying, but some of them were yelling, "Save us." GLaDOS began to speak in a low, distorted pitch. The monitors on GLaDOS showed images of lifeless faces with hollow black eyes, and the words "kill them all" in rapid succession. The boss battle played similar to the original. As Evan destroyed the cores, the room seemed to become more aggressive. A dark mist began to set in, and the lights began to flicker. GLaDOS flailed wildly back and forth and started to talk in an unknown language. Evan has defeated GLaDOS many times before, so it wasn't long until he was in possession of the final core. GLaDOS then yelled out, "I killed them all and I'll kill you too." Evan took pleasure in incinerating the final core. GLaDOS let out a long, distorted cry as Chell was lifted into the air. Chell then awakens outside of Aperture Science as usual, except there's a large crowd of ghosts. They stand silently as they look toward the beautiful sky. After a few moments, one of the ghosts turned around and came face to face with the player. He lightly whispered, "Thank you." The game then exited back to his PC desktop. Evan quickly tried starting the game back up, but he soon realized that Portal was completely wiped from his computer. Evan thought that this was odd, so he figured he should try to reinstall it. He opened the disk tray, and the disk was gone. So that's where the creepypasta ends. So is this disk actually haunted by the ghost of Aperture Science? Or was it all just a hoax? Well, firstly, do I think that something like this could actually happen? Well, actually, yeah, I do. Games that use the source engine are very mod-friendly. Games like Half-Life 2 and Portal have been modded many times before. All you would need is someone with a lot of time and effort to make something like this, but that doesn't explain how the disk vanished. As much as I want to believe that this creepypasta is true, there's no proof that it actually happened. It's most likely just a story that was created for the sole purpose of entertainment. Well, I was definitely entertained, and I hope you were too. With that said, I'm the Masked Game Reviewer, and I'll see you next time.